So yeah, so it's just going to share a screen and then we're going to continue the class. So we have 1 hour 30 minutes to finish up, right? I'm not timing you really. I shouldn't have even said that because now, please, our pacing, all right. Let's just learn within 1 hour 30 minutes. Anyway, we stop. He has promised us another session.
No, I did not.
But you will give us another session, right?
Let's
Okay.
just do this first.
All right, no problem. Yes, you can just go on. Thank you.
Okay, hello everyone. Good evening to those that are joining live, and for those that will be watching later. My name is Olawale Olatunji, and this is a continuation of the class we were having yesterday, which is introduction to UI design, basically Figma. Like I said, this is just going to be focused on using Figma and getting around in Figma and showing you what is possible in Figma. And I'll just be continuing from where I stopped yesterday without going into too much introduction. So can you confirm you can see my screen, please?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay, so for this class, we're going to be recreating this application I did, and this is an application I did as a case study for myself, but I've been unable to finish it, but hopefully we can get through it and be able already imported my design system from the from the original file I was working with. Just these things that I've set up that is going to make designing this application super easy for us. So first things first, I'll take you through is the logo. So the very simple, it just works. Note I didn't. So I actually got it online from Freepik. Freepik is a free platform where you can download vector images like this. So I just looked for the perfect Fox that was good for, because the idea of this application is supposed to be like your AI study partner, and the idea was Fox. I think Fox has said to be very intelligent, and that was why I went to that gap vibe. And I was honestly looking for something that would be very playful, and that's why I chose the very bright colors and the smiling fox guy. So first thing I will just be showing you is this is the logo I created to use for this application. Note, I'm going to be sharing you this file, so you're going to have access to all of the resources I'm going to be showing you. Yeah. So some another thing I did was the same fox, I actually got him in different expression. This is just to make the UI more interesting. If you notice from the prototype I was showing you different earlier, there were different emotions that the fox was showing. This was just to give a personality to the brand. If you use something like Duolingo, I think you should be familiar with this concept of having a playful character in a mobile application. And that was just all of these. I didn't design them myself from scratch. I actually got them from Freepik. I just had to do a little bit adjustments in terms of making sure I got the emotions I needed. But I got this for free from Freepik. And Freepik, I'm going to be sharing a list of resources for you to where you can also find stuff like this whenever you want to do your own design. But like I said, you're going to be getting this file, so everything here is going to be with you. Okay, so the other item I'll be walking you through is just my typography. So for me, most times I don't start my project from scratch. I do have a set of design kits and design systems that are already prepared, and I just import it to my project, and I am adjust it as the case may be. So in this case, this is a typography from, I can't remember which of my particular UI kit I got this from, but I'm actually going to be importing it. And one thing I'm going to be giving at the end of this class is in this file is also this get started page is actually going to contain a list of plenty free UI kits and UI kits, videos and stuff for you to actually understand some of these things better. Like I said, I'm going to try to move fast and slow at the same time. But honestly, to actually get a better understanding of the concept and everything I'll be talking about in this class, you need to go back and do your own research by yourself. And I'm going to be helping you with materials to study that at the end of this class. So what I am, so I have my typography here. This was already predefined, and all I have to do is actually save it in my file. So I'll just show you an example of how to save one of these type kit. So the first thing is the headline. So this is headline Excel. I want to believe you understand that Excel means large. Let me detach it and recreate it so you understand what I'm trying to do. Let me do this. Let me do this. Sorry. Okay, so Excel means like, so this means this is the type and the text I want to use for anywhere I'm having really large text. This is the type I want to use for it. And for me to save this as a text style in Figma. So we primarily use text styles and design system for the sake of consistency. So it's not as if every time I need a big text, I'm typing in the number and I'm trying to figure out the number I typed last. So this is one of the reasons why we define our type style before we even start the project, and that's what I'm trying to do here. So this, I already know this is this, all the figures are here, and the figures will be here from the kit I'll be sharing you. You just click on this little plus icon here that shows create style. Create style. So once you create style, you type the name of the style, and this is headline Excel. So this is the normal weight, which is regular. I can just call it regular. Note I'm using a slash. I'll show you why that slash was actually important now. But note, after typing the Excel, I use the slash, then I'm going to type reg for regular, and I click on create style. Note that this is here. So that means if I write the text here now, if I write the text here now, rather than just trying to format it or here to look like what I have done, that is our Excel, I can just click here, come here and select this new style I just clicked. And this also means that if I come back to this guy now and I decide, oh, I want to change him, I come back to this, my text Excel now, and I feel like, and yeah, note this text styles, when you click on the board, empty canvas, you have this option coming here that will show you the text style. So if I decide now that, no, I want to change the font of this, my headlines, maybe I present to my PM and stuff, and my PM is like, why are you using Inter? Inter is too common. Use another font. Go for use another font, and I can just come here and change. Okay, getting this ones. I can just come here. I'm trying to find a font I can use. I can just come here and change the font, and if you notice, this changed immediately. So these are one of the reasons why textiles are very important in your design, because it makes changing very, very important, very, very easy. Imagine you've designed like 50 screens and the client is coming back to tell you to change the font. If you don't use simple stuff like this, you're going to have a lot of time. And honestly, this is one of the things that have actually helped me a lot in my career and my professional work, because as much as possible I try to stick to these best practices. So it's always very easy for me, like a PM just tells me, oh Wale, I don't like this font, I can be like, okay, I can change this font in 2 weeks. I know very well I use a test style, and I can just change this thing in 1 hour, or less. I can just change the font immediately and my old screen is already updated. So these are the kind of things that takes you from being a regular designer to getting more advanced using little stuff like textiles and the likes. Like I said, you need to learn more to actually understand, but that's just the basics of what textile is. So I named this one headline X large regular. I'm going to come here, click on this same icon, click on the plus. I'm going to name it also. I'm going to call it headline XL. Then I'm going to put a slash again, and I'm going to call it bold. And I'm going to call it bold. Note that what you notice now is that this Excel regular and large, they're already a child of this Excel. That's because of that slash I used when I was creating it. So even if I come here and I will do the same thing. I'm going to come here to, I'm going to call it headline Excel. Let me say this one. Okay, that should be semi-bold and this is bold, but then we'll just call this black. Oh, this should be bold. So bold. One thing you might have noticed from the training I'm doing most of the times is that I'm actually not coming like super prepared and giving you stuff. This is not because I could not dedicate time. It's because I want to show you what it feels like to work in a real environment. Most times, even some of the best designers or best programmers, they doubt themselves. We have issues. Like I can tell you that sometimes I'm just thinking, am I even doing the right thing at all? So sometimes I just wanted to have a feel of what it feels like to work on a real project. And that's why I'm making some of these mistakes. So when you make these mistakes, I don't want you to give up. Just continue to struggle, continue to fight it, and definitely you're going to get it. Okay, there's a chat here. I your please. Okay. Okay, so let me try and go slower. Okay, so like I said, one of the reasons why I'm trying making these mistakes is I'm going to show you that even in real life, senior designers and whatnot, they make these mistakes. So when you make these mistakes, don't feel like you're not good enough or something. It's part of the process. So that's it for the textile. Like I said, I've actually defined all the textile I need in this particular project, and I'm actually going to use them in my design. Another thing I did is I have my buttons here. So creating these buttons, I will just create one of these buttons to show you how it is created. This is also a component I got from one of my UI kits. So I'll just show you a simple way to create a button. The best way to create a button is by using a frame, but with auto layouts. Note that I said auto layout. So very simple. If let's say I want to make this a frame, I want to make this a button now. So what I'll do is I'm going to click on Shift A, and that will make it an auto layout frame automatically. Shift A makes it an auto layout. Or if I didn't want to click on Shift A, like you don't want to use shortcut, you can actually click on it. And when you come here, you're going to see this option to add auto layout. I can add an auto layout to this, and automatically it has auto layout in it. What's the to make it look like this, like a button? First thing is, let me give it a background color. So I'm going to come to my field. I'm going to select the color. Let me say I'm selecting this color. You see, it's getting close, but oh, I need it to have more padding on the left and the right. I'm going to give it this padding here. Let's say I want to give it 24. Yes, it's looking more like it. I want the corner to be rounded like this. I believe we went through this yesterday. So I come to my corner radius and I increase it. I just want it to be fully rounded. So I just round it indefinitely. And you know that now we have something that looks like my button. My button is quite different because of the colors I used, but this is what the button. And one importance of using auto layout now is that if I use this button in another place now and I change the text here to, I don't know if you've noticed, but you see that the button is actually increasing automatically with the text, and that's because I used auto layout. I could have actually drawn a rectangle and write this text here, but that will not give me this feel of I'm changing the text and the button is just increasing automatically. That's why it's quite important to use auto layout for your buttons. Auto layout is a very complex topic that will take a lot of time. So I just wanted to give you a brief overview of what auto layouts is and how to use it in creating buttons. So these are icons. I got all of these icons from Flat Icon. None of these were designed by me. Flat Icon is by Freepik also. Is a website where you can get really cool free icons to use in your project. These are some of the things I'm going to share with you that are going to help you. And I got this color system from, I think, Untitled UI. Untitled UI is a design system. It has a paid version and also has a free version. So I'm also going to be putting the link to all of these resources in the file I'm going to be sharing with you, so you can actually go there, study them, see how some of the best designers arrange and use their files. So those are the major component of our design. And right now we'll just move straight into designing our user interface. At this point, do we have any question or anything you feel like I should talk about more before proceeding? Okay. Okay. So that means there are no questions. So what's the best way for me to do this? Let me let me bring this here. I want to copy the screen here so that we can actually just be looking at it while we are working, and just have it somewhere here. Yes, let's say we have it somewhere here. So let's start by creating this our splash screen. So this first page is, like I said yesterday, whenever I'm designing it, I divide it into the basic, like divide it to the minimal size possible. No point thinking about these other screens yet. This is the first screen I want to design. And one thing I mentioned yesterday that I said was quite important for aligning stuff was grid. So first things first is I already have my frame. Okay, let me just draw the main frame. So for me to draw my frame, remember at this top to the first tool you have here after your move to is your frame tool. You can also get it by clicking on F to get your frame tool. And when you click your frame tool, remember that font sizes and device sizes, maybe it's a desktop, maybe it is for social media, all of them are going to show you. And you just select the device you are designing for. For this particular project, we are going to be using this Android Large. Okay, so we're going to be using this Android Large, and I have this now. This is the frame I want to design for. So and this is the first screen. Like I said, it is a very, very simple screen. As you can see, it just has the logo and it has this text here that says your learning partner, and it has this gloomy background. So I think there's one of the important thing that we need to create. Yeah, it has this gloomy background. So let's start with creating that. So in my frame here, I have this my frame here. I'm going to draw a rectangle, a frame again that is going to be at the bottom. Remember that I said a frame can be inside a frame, but a frame can hold stuffs in it, but a rectangle doesn't hold stuffs in it. So you understand why I chose to use a frame for my background instead of a rectangle shortly. One thing I always do, I try to do in my design is I try to name my layers something that is close to perfect. Or yeah, one important thing I forgot to mention yesterday is Figma is actually launching a new interface. Even some users already have the interface. I don't yet. So depending on when you are watching this, if you are not watching it, like the interface might be different. Um, for that, if you're watching at that time, I believe most of the things will still be similar. So some of the things you're going to learn or see in this video might be helpful, but to gain a better understanding of the new interface, you might need to watch more tutorials using the new interface. Yeah, very sorry, I forgot to mention that yesterday. So yes, so back to the training. Can you confirm I'm not going too fast and I'm quite slow? I don't think I've said anything. Okay, so yeah, I try to name my layers as much as possible, but for the sake of this class, we'll just make it simple. What did I just do? Yeah, for the sake of this class, we'll just make it very simple and not go into so I'll just call it screen one. So screen one. So like I said, we want to first of all start by creating this gloomy background. So like I said yesterday, for you to understand how you need to inspect this design. Just see how this person did it. Try to recreate it that way before you think of actually doing it in a way that is for you or the way a refined way. So first thing I want to inspect this design. I'm saying that okay, this is an auto layout with container that has a logo and the text. Very good. And I'm saying that there is a background element that is different here. I want to understand how this background element was created that has this gloomy kind of feel in the back. So I can open the layer by coming here, open the container. I'm saying that, oh, it's just a bunch of circles that are all around. Then I'm going to try and understand, okay, which value was given to those circles, like what's the color, what's the blur, which strokes were given to that makes it look like this. And I come to this panel, I'm seeing the field. I'm seeing that, okay, this circle has a radar, a gradient, a radar gradient, as the case may be, and these are the values. And I'm seeing that this circle has a blur effect on it. Okay, how do I create it? Honestly, you can just copy and paste, but for you to actually understand what was done, it's always better to just try and recreate. So let me just try and rename this now to my BG, rename to background. I know that there are circles in this background, and that's how this scheme was created. I come back to my background, I draw circles. Note, when you want to draw a perfect circle, you hold down your shift key. I hold down my shift key, I draw my circle. Definitely, this is not what I want my circle to look like based on what I have seen in this background. Based on what I've seen in this background, I want my circle to have a radius gradient, and I want it to have a layer blur effect. So I'm going to come to my circle here, and I'm going to come to my colors. In my colors, this is solid color. I change to gradient color. Yes, awesome. But I don't want linear. My circle has what's it called, a gradient, a radius gradient. So I select radius, and yes, radar. So I select that, and that is awesome. What are the values? The value, when I check this, I can see the middle, the middle is actually having this really like light yellow, and this is pure white. So I come here and I try to recreate something like that in my own design too. Okay, so this, I want to make this one a little bit like this. Yes, I think this is a good color. And I want to make this completely white. FFF is actually pure white. And see, awesome. I'm seeing immediately that now this radius, this my circle is starting to look more like the ones that are in here. But it also has this layer blur. That was what makes it more gloomy. So I come here and I add my layer blur to it. Note, I don't want drop shadow. I want layer blur, and I just adjust the value until it looks good to me. I adjust the value. Fine. Yes, I think that looks good to me. Or do I adjust it a little bit more? Or one? I don't know. Like, I think that looks a little bit to me. And so I put more. But if you check this, you're going to notice that this actually have different colors. This other one has it instead of having a light shade of that yellow, this one has a darker one, and that was what gave it that effect. So I come here, I copy this circle, and I change this one's color. Let's say I want to change this one's bright color to something a little bit darker, something like this. Yes, 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 looks more like it now. Looks more like it now. And also, I want to add a layer blur effect of, let's say I want to add 5 to this one because it is a little bit thicker. It's not that thing. Yes, okay. So that looks a little bit more like what we are trying to create. So 100. So that looks a little bit more like what we are trying to create. And I'm saying that, yes, it's already giving the vibes I want. So I see that they just scattered it around in this design. So definitely I don't have to like go and check and see exactly where they put it. I'm creating it for my own recreation sake. I can just move it around as I like. I can just move it around as I like. Maybe also put it here. Maybe also put it here, and you can see that immediately we've actually turned this plain white background from what it was to making it look more gloomy, and it has this kind of effect now. So if I come to this my background now, I can turn it off and see This is it before, this is it after. So I've been able to create that gloomy background. It doesn't look exactly like this, but of course it doesn't have to. Nobody is marking my script and say I should create exactly what is here. So this is my background, and that is awesome already. So I'm moving on to the next thing. The next thing he did was he puts, by he I mean me. Okay, so the next thing here is I need to put my logo, I need to put my text. So for me, I come here, I close this guy so I'll make sure I'm not designing inside it. I select this parent screen one and I come to the asset panel. Note that, like I said, I've already imported all the logos here. So all these components that you have imported, they are going to be in the asset panel. Remember, we used the asset panel yesterday quite a lot. So yeah, back to my design. So I need to go to the asset panel to get this smiling guy. Need to go to the asset panel to get this smiling guy. So I come here, I come to the asset, I look for him. I think this is, I don't know if this, I think this should be him. And I'm seeing that, oh, this is the asset. I'm trying to check if it has the one I need. Yes, 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 yes. And I see that, yes, this is exactly what I need. I need the one with the fonts and the text on that. I click on insert instance, and it is here. I drag it into my board and put it to where I want it to be. So I don't want it to be in this background, I want it to be outside. So looking at this background now, so I can decide that this background is looking a little bit disturbing in my case. So I can come here and reduce the opacity of this background so it is not too disturbing. I can come here and say, let me make this a 50. Looks better, looks okay. So let me make it a 16. I think that's okay. Yes, that is awesome. I have my logo already. And as you can see, this looks a little bit smaller. So for me to increase the size, I'm going to click on the K notes. You can also, if you drag this like this, it also scales, but see what happens. I want you to just look at what happens by yourself. You see, I'm scaling it, it is scaling, but it is not behaving the way I want it to. So I'll just undo that. Then I'm going to use my K, which is the scale tool. When you come here, after move, you have the scale tool, which is your move. See what happens when I use my K to increase it. You see that it is actually scaling the artwork, which is what I want in this case. Usually in a standard design, there'll be a style guide, a number, and everything for all of these guys. But for the purpose of this class, I'll just scale it until I feel like it is perfect in my eye. So I think this might be a good one. Or one thing that the advice I always give designers is, as much as possible, I try to avoid decimal numbers in my design because of balance. And I don't know, I think it's a personal preference, but for the sake of this class, I'll just ignore that rule. So I just move it, and I feel like, yes, this guy is much more better like this. I and I say make sure it's centered in the middle. One thing you should, I also didn't turn on my grid in this case, so I can just turn it on now. I can just come here, come to layout grid, yeah, and turn on this grid. This grid is already here. And now I'm having my grid I can use to position stuff. But at the same time, I want this to be in the middle. Note that when you select an element in the frame and you click around outside and you hold down your Alt key, you're going to see these red lines that are showing you the distance from I can put it that is showing you the distance. So yeah, it is 106 here, 104 here. It is not centered. I can just center it, and it is 105, 105. Looks centered to me. Next thing I want to do is I want to put this text here, your learning partner. Okay, what do I need to do? I need to grab the text tool. Remember, we spoke about the text tool yesterday. It is at the top with this letter T, but I can also just get it by clicking on letter T on my keyboard and dragging out like this. And now I have my text tool and I can type what I want to type inside. In this case, I want to type your learning partner. Okay, so in this case, I want to type your learning partner. So note that in this, it has already picked one of my style kits that I already defined, but I want to be sure it is the right one. I just check here and see that this is text L mid, and that's medium, and that is exactly the same thing that is here. So this also, I want to center it. I'm going to click on this button here to center it. It looks a little bit too close to the Fox logo compared to this. So I can, and this logo looks a little bit big. Or just for balancing, say I can actually just check this and see the size that was used for this logo here. I'm checking this now and I see that, okay, this person used, by this person, I mean me, okay. Okay, so I can see that the width here is 97.5, whatever, but I can just come here, click on my key. Remember what I said, do not reduce or reshape the skin using the move tool. Click here, and I need something around 98. So yes, I have something a little bit more sized like that. And now I want to use my auto layout around these two elements just to give it better positioning. And now I'm looking at my learning. I wrote rubbish. Okay. Again, I'm looking at my learning and I'm saying I wrote rubbish, and I've corrected that now. Okay, so I want to use my auto layout around these two elements, so I can just use that to style it. Like I said, to use auto layout, you click on Shift A, and now the auto layout was applied to this element. And now I can come here. I clicked on it 2 times. Yeah, so now I can come here and adjust the size of this thing. I don't want it to be this far apart. I think a 16 should look better. And that doesn't still look okay to me. I want it to be a little bit closer. Let's say I'm using it. I think that is better for me. And now I'm looking at it. I didn't select the color of this, so it is just the default black here. But I have my color styles defined. So I'm just going to click on here to show my color styles, and I have my grays. I'm going to select the darkest one, and now I have this screen. And now I have this screen. As you can see, now we are done with basically the first page of this design, which is basically the simplest part. So let's move on to the other screen. The next screen in the splash screen has a little bit more content. But like I said, you break down the screen to the smallest minimal process and attack it from there. First thing, let me look at this screen and see what I need. I'm seeing here now that I also need my I'm seeing here now that I also need my background that I used here. I need buttons, I need text. And now, so they're very simple for me. Rather than just start from scratch, I can just copy this screen. For me to copy this, I can do Control C, come here and do Control V. Or I can click here, hold down my Alt key and drag out. Once I drag out, it's going to create a copy of that one that I dragged from. And now I have this screen. It has the background already. Ordinarily, if you check this, you see that I already created my background as a component, but for the sake of this class, I'll just proceed like this. That now I have copied this guy out, and now this is the guy I want to use. I want to put this particular guy that is, I don't know, this is busy. The busy fox is the one I want to use here. So very simple. Very simple. I don't need this guy again, this first guy, so I can actually remove him completely. I can move this text to the bottom because I still need some text. Okay, let me fill in the text first. I need two texts. I need this one that says AI tutoring chatbot and this text here. So first things first, I can actually duplicate this one I have here. By duplicate, I mean yes, you should not duplicate. So I just copy and paste this. I make this one into a bold one like we have here. This is headline XS bold. I change this into that. So yes, that is that, and this is also the color I want, and this is the size I want it to be. But I want to change the color of this text to be a little bit faint compared to the main text. So I change it to this, and now I have my text here. I just need to copy and paste. Let me just copy and paste what we have here for the sake of this class. I advise you at this stage, when you're trying to recreate something, try to type things out and recreate as much as possible for better learning experience. But for the sake of this class, I'll just copy and paste the text. So yes, I have this now. So you see that, like I said, break this thing down into the smallest components. So yes, I have this sorted already. I can move this up a little bit because I can see that there are still some things underneath it. So secondly, I have this little progress bar here. I want to investigate and see how this was created. And now I'm seeing that it is actually a component of, and they called it bars here. So, and it has an auto layout around these three elements. So I'll just come back here to my own design. I come back to my assets, name your layers as much as possible for the sake of this class. I'll just proceed. So I come back to my assets. I'm looking for bars. Remember, I saw that I created that using bars. I'm looking for bars. I know where bars are. So I'm trying to just get it from here. Mhm. So I'm looking for bars that I use, and yes, these are bars here. Note that they are also, I'll show you another way to actually get this component without going to assets. I wanted to show you the hard way first. So I'm looking for bars. Note, this means it is not inside the screen. If you notice this is my screen, this is where bar is. I need to move it inside this frame by dragging it here, and now it is inside this frame. But now I'm seeing where is it? Yes, it is inside this frame. So I see that I use bars, but there are three bars. So I can just copy and paste these bars 3 times. 1, 2, 3. So, and now I will now add auto layout to these bars to shift them, to make them on the same line. I've added my auto layout on these bars like this. I'm going to spread it out. And with my auto layout, like this. So with my auto layout, these bars are okay, yes. These are my bars inside my auto layout. Look at the values around it. I don't need any of these values. I'm going to make this 0. I'm going to make this 0 because they were not in the design that I saw here. So one thing I also noticed here is that in this first one, to show that this is the one that is active, this first one had is very solid color. That is the primary color, while these other ones add the lighter one. So I'm going to come back to these bars and I'm going to select this first one. Note in this place, they already have different states for this bar. This one is the default, which means it is not selected. So I come here, I change it to the active one. So now you can see that this bar looks exactly like this, and this shows that this is the page that is selected. So I'm going to center this particular frame in my artboard. So as you can see, it is not centered. I'm going to come here, click on this align horizontal center, and now it is going to be centered on the artboard, as you can see here. You see, I'm breaking it down step by step, copying what was done here and trying to see how I can replicate it in my own design by breaking the whole thing down into components. So the next part is I'm seeing that there are 2 buttons here. How do I get these buttons? Like I said, everything already in the design system. But rather than going to the assets to get it, I'll show you another way to get those buttons. So I come back to my screen here and I click on this option here. Remember, I told you this option here is for resources. It can show you resources that are in your file and both the ones that are online. In this case, I need buttons. I can actually just search through, but rather than that, I can just search for what I need. I know I need buttons. So I type buttons and it actually shows me the button in this file. So I click on import and it is actually importing it at the bottom. That is not where I want. That's why it is like that. So I drag this button on top here. One thing that is important for you to notice is that my button here is actually quite wide, taking up the whole of this screen. So I'm going to check the size here. The size here is 312. So I'm going to come here, make this my button to 312. And I'm going to center it. You see that little by little, we're already having this screen just by recreating what was done and trying to see how we can get some of these resources. So I'm going to drag this here. So we have two buttons. This is the first one. Then we have another one. Note when I check this one here and the type here, it says primary. In this one type, it says secondary. That means I need a secondary button. So I come here, I duplicate this, and to duplicate this, I can hold down my Alt key and drag out. And now I have another button. I can now have the two of them being my secondary buttons. I change this from primary to secondary. Now it is lighter. And now I want to copy the text that are in each of those buttons. The first one is let's get started. I copy that and I paste here. I already have an account. I copy that and I paste here. So these are my two buttons that I have created. As you can see, we already have something that is very close to what we are trying to recreate already. So can someone just confirm that you are with me, please? So I know I'm not moving too fast or something like that. So we have this here already. So we have this bottom section figured out already. The next is I want to put this smiley guy. Note, like I said, these guys are already in the design system. So I'm just going to come here in the design system and select the guy that I want. I want the